Welcome back to another episode of the Jesse Rucinski Show. Again, today, I'm going to cover a few things like I did yesterday, break it up so you don't hear me ramble on and on about just one thing. But I can cover a few things, get it over with. First is the whole stimulus thing. And I'm sure there's money going to other countries, which, why? That's going to, help bring us back. Give their money to big cities that are going broke, I imagine, because they've talked about it. But again, like places like Miami, lots of tourism in the summer because the beaches, everything down there. They only lost $2 million in 2020. $2 million. Because the way they ran it in policies and how they did things. New York City, over $250 million in the hole. So that just shows you how each party is running everything. Really, if one can do it, and everyone could do it, they just used their heads and did just shut everything down, lock everyone down, because places that did the most steep versions of that have the worst case numbers. But that's another story for a whole other day. I still think it's ridiculous. Everyone should. But then we get into the vote of it. I remember Inauguration Day and for all kinds of times before that, especially after the Senate runoffs and Georgia went down and became 50-50, they said it's not going to be, we don't have the majority, we're going to work together because it's a tie and yada yada yada. And the first chance they get, I'm pretty sure Republicans had like around $680 billion they wanted to spend on this, and there's this $1.9 trillion went to a 50-50, and there's Kamala Harris to run it down everyone's throat regardless of what half the people wanted. Because again, it doesn't matter. That's what all those executive orders proved. It doesn't matter at all. Not one iota. I mean, look how many, 47, I think, so far. 47. That's a big number. Trump only averaged 55 a year. Barely crossed the 2-week mark, and he's already up to 47. And counting. So, I have a problem with that. Yeah, but remember, they were going to work together. It didn't mean they had the majority, even though the first chance they got. Tiebreaker, vice president. And they got what they wanted, which was well over $1 trillion over what the Republicans wanted. There was no reaching over the aisle. There was no compromise. We're going to do what we want. We have the numbers to do whatever we want because they ended the filibuster in the Senate. And boom, here we are now. Again, I saw it coming. I'm not surprised by it. I know some people are surprised, having buyer's remorse, but we all tried to tell you. I saw it coming. I mentioned it for forever. There's not going to be anything fair and balanced about any of it. They're going to take that power and they're going to run with whatever they want. And then, none of it's really going to affect them, but we all have to, deal with the consequences of it. So, it is what it is. We'll see how it works out. I don't have faith, but, it is what it is at this point. Then we're going to move on to what he just said during his briefing, speech, which I didn't even know was on. I just happened to catch it while I was getting rid of notifications on Facebook, and he said that most of the deficit spending that Trump did went to the richest in the country to bail them out. Blah, 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 blah. That's about all he says. He just reads teleprompter. Doesn't seem to have any thoughts. And that part really bugs me, because if I remember correctly, after said giant recession that him and Barack Obama inherited, last time I checked, didn't they bail out the hedge funds on Wall Street so it didn't completely go on? So they didn't go under and all that? Well, all kinds of Americans lost everything when that stock market went down and the recession happened and all that. I might not have the best memory, but yes, they did. And also, didn't they bail out the auto manufacturers, I believe, twice? Because they were going under, literally because of poor management. They all kept making, that's how people kept making just as much money. They didn't drop prices, they didn't do anything. They just took the money from the government, got bailed out and got to keep going. Twice, I believe. Twice. But again, there he is, just bastardizing Trump again. Like, he gave it to only the rich because that's all he cares about. Even though when I was vice president, we bailed out hedge funds, banks, and auto manufacturers. The last time I checked, the people running those are up in the 1%, and they're filthy rich. Again, true story. Look it up. Try to argue me. I mean, you can. Doesn't mean it's going to get you anywhere, but I mean, they did it. So, I know his memory probably isn't the best now. It's been a lot of years. My memory isn't the best, and I'm nowhere near that old. But, yeah. Like, everyone just remember, that did happen. And they were one of the workers. Everyone was getting laid off. All the people were losing their money because of the stocks and everything. No, they bailed out the hedge funds and the auto manufacturers, amongst other people. The banks, all of them. It wasn't the people's fault, but they didn't get any help from it. And granted, everything didn't go down, but I mean, they still lost all their money in the stocks and everything else like that. It's just the way it is. Nothing we can do about it. Hope for the best. We'll see how it all works out. I'm expecting nothing good. Just why not throw another $2 trillion on the deficit? Like, it's going to help people now. Even though in that same speech he did also say that, most people are still going to be out of work come this coming winter. So I don't know how he thinks we're going to be fully recovered by the beginning of 2022 when he also said that most people are still going to be screwed wintertime this year. Doesn't make sense to me, but I'm a crazy man with long hair waiting to cut it off to donate it, a big beard, an Ed shirt on. I'm not the norm, let's say. But now let's move on to point 2, which just irritates me to no ends. It just keeps going. That we need to defeat political extremism at the National Prayer Breakfast. Because of what, I'm guessing, obviously, what happened on the 6th of January. But I mean, what in the world do you call what happened many, many months of last summer? That was political extremism, and they didn't say a word about it. In fact, you watched their whole entire DNC. Not one person mentioned any of the riots, looting, or anything. They didn't mention it until a lot of people did during the RNC, then polling, and boom, suddenly they cared. But look back. In fact, they encouraged it. But now, it's the right, crazy people out there. We need to defeat political extremism. Like, where in the hell were you guys last year? Like, if I remember correctly, the week leading into the election, all kinds of people in all those cities were boarding up everything for if Trump won. And it wasn't because his supporters were going to freak out. It was because all hell was going to break loose again. And looting and rioting and destruction were going to happen again, which they already did for months. It's amazing. They all took everything off after it was over because Biden won. Like, they boarded up because they're afraid of what the crazy people on the left were going to do. But again, let's only go after the people because what happened on the 6th on the right, those political extremists. Pretty sure I even heard the Secretary of Defense say they're going to do a stand down, so we could go through all the people in the military and weed out all the extremists, as they called them, and crazy conservatives, all that. Like, why weren't we worried about that? Because they were mixed into all that stupid that happened over the summer. They didn't mention any of it then. There's now we need to go after the right, which is why everyone's getting censored and all of that. But my big thing is, where in the hell were all of you last summer besides condoning it and setting up bail funds for people that were doing it? Like, you don't get to ignore that whole entire side of the equation that caused way more chaos and damage, destruction, injuries, and lives lost like for months. And now suddenly that happens, and boom, that's the big ticket that we need to worry about. Like, I am legitimately really, really tired of them having it both ways. Not one side's good while the other side doing the same thing is bad. You could say, oh, this was at the Capitol. Yeah, they were taking over state capitals before. That was okay. They did it. Burned down brand new police stations. Those are government buildings. Did it. Damaged federal courthouses and buildings all over the place. Did it. And I've been the capital, but hey, the people running the Capitol Police requested help 6 times and got denied. Any help by the House, the Senate, and the mayor in D.C. Kind of like they wanted it to happen. I mean, all the reports were there. We all knew about it. And yet, they left the Capitol Police high and dry. So, all you people say, yeah, oh, get it, he was, the last guy was so terrible, Orange Man, bad. Yeah, but at least he brought it up and mentioned it, and he called everyone that did any of it across both sides thugs and criminals. It's funny. Now the new administration, we're only calling one side criminals to include, again, AOC calling Ted Cruz, pretty much accusing him of attempted murder. Insurrectionist is their big word, even though one of the guys running the impeachment next week, literally, first state they went over, went and argued that state's election results, even though Trump won by 30 points. Remember, they weren't insurrectionists. It's okay when they do it. It's when the other side does it that suddenly you're terrible people, insurrectionists, domestic terrorists, everything. And the hypocrisy is what has everyone turned up. And they don't care. Even for most of you people that vote for them, they don't give a damn about you. You can say, oh, that's just how you feel. Well, what have they done? They're just reversing stuff, even stuff that reduces price of some medications. They don't care. They're reversing it just because Trump did it. They also, on the third note, are releasing migrants that are coming to the border, catch and release. Haven't been vaccinated, don't know if they're positive, none of that. Just, here you go, what? Go. Like, isn't that gonna, affect numbers too? Like, shouldn't we be worried about that? During a pandemic, if you're so worried, why are we letting whoever and whenever into the country from God knows where? Doesn't make a lick of sense either. If we're trying to keep it under control, why are we letting that many extra people as they show up, in? As close quarters, it's just, I don't know. Maybe I have too much common sense. I've been told that's a bad thing. But, yeah, there's some just food for thought before we go into the weekend. With that being said, I appreciate y'all. Like, comment, share, follow here, YouTube, Rumble, wherever. Yeah. Share it to the people. Stay safe this weekend. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Talk to one another. Be nice to each other. We've seemed to have lost that in this country. And until next time, my friends, peace.